What is up, y'all? Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. We, of course, are The Alternates. This is a basketball show for the others where we like to showcase independent music and discuss all things basketball. I am your host, Brian Cullen, and with me, as always, is everyone's favorite, disrespectful, bench decorum, Clayton Stevens.
100K fine.
I'm taking my money back from the casino one way or the other. We've got a really great show lined up for you today. Before we jump in, I want to take a quick second, ask you all to subscribe to the show on YouTube. That's youtube.com/thealternates. And wherever you get your podcasts, go ahead and like the video, drop us a comment, leave us a rating and review if your preferred platform has such an option. And most importantly, share the show. It helps people just like you find us. It helps people like us find people just like you. It's a win-win situation. If you want to send in your comments and questions, you can do so by emailing us, thealternatehoop@gmail.com. And while you have your phone in your hand looking at it, scrolling, because I know that you are, open up TikTok, because I know that you have it. It's 2022. We all have it. I'm too old to have it, but I still have it. And go ahead and follow the show at The Alternates NBA. Clayton, how in the hell are you?
I'm good. You know, I had a low key weekend, and I watched a lot of basketball and took in some sports. There were some fun debuts in baseball, so that was fun for me as well. Having a great time watching these series.
Yeah,
what about you?
Absolutely. I'm loving it. Obviously, playoffs are we're in the conference finals. This is it. This is the exciting time, right? This is when everybody's paying attention. But I gotta ask, have you been watching the WNBA at all? The season is in swing.
Poking my head in.
Okay.
Yeah, not watching every game, but poking my head in.
Yeah, it has been fun. I've been catching up on it. Washington. That's all I gotta say. The Mystics look so good. Natasha Cloud had an unreal weekend. Look, obviously this is the time of the NBA season I'm the most excited. Let's crown a champion, but part of me is almost anxious to kind of get past it. Let's close this season. Let's find out who the champion is. As exciting as that is, I'm very anxious to get into the W season because there's so much talent right now. Yes. The games have been so good that I'm almost excited to kind of knock something off the plate so that I can jump into that, dive in, and really start enjoying that season. It's going to be a fun summer in the W.
It definitely is, and you're right. The level of talent over the last couple of years has just gotten ridiculous in the W, and it's only getting better. And the college game as well. It's just absurd right now in women's basketball. So yes, there's a lot to look forward to with that.
I'm loving it, but as the playoffs keep going, let's jump into it. Let's get into headliners here. We're going to start with the first series here in the East. Miami Heat versus the Boston Celtics. We're 3 games in now. We've had 2 games since the last time we recorded. Started on Thursday night, where Boston put down a true Boston beatdown. There was tons of Have Heart and Slapshot playing, and just all the Boston hardcore bands, just tough. I had basketball shorts on and a tank top, just moshing through the living room watching this. They beat the Miami Heat 127-102. Huge game for Boston. Follow it back up. We're in Boston now. That was in Miami.
Yep.
Go to Boston Saturday night in one of the strangest games I have seen all postseason. Boston absolutely shit the bed. Miami wins 109-103. No Time Lord in this game. Kyle Lowry comes back. Jimmy Butler goes out with a hurt knee. We had absolute just theatrics, just dramatic effect all over from the Celtics. You know, Jason Tatum goes down with a shoulder stinger, returns. We had Marcus Smart go down with one of the gnarliest ankle twists I've seen in a while. And I got to say on that play, the microphone being on was a bit egregious.
It was perverse, honestly. And it felt like the engineer was just turning up the volume more and more and just turning down the crowd volume. Like, you guys want to hear this, right?
Hearing the screams.
It was too much.
Yeah, I was uncomfortable watching it, but he goes to the back, doesn't look good. And then it's like WWE, whatever, Saturday Night Raw. He comes back, the crowd goes nuts, and he returns to the game. But they end up losing. Another player, I got to say, from Miami showed up. They had, some returning players, which takes me into the stud here. And my stud was a returning player for the Miami Heat. That is Bam Adebayo,
Yes.
who
Yes.
officially took himself out of beta mode and became the true star number 2 option that Miami has wanted him to be this entire season. Had the game of his life in game 3, 31 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists from the big man. He went 15 to 22 from the floor, added a block and 3 steals to this stat line. He was incredible. He was so good in this game.
Yeah, he was all over the place. I think he looked at the report right before the game, saw that Robert Williams wasn't playing, and said, I cannot wait for this game to start. Was going all at Al Horford, at Grant Williams. They were no match for him.
Yeah.
He was all over the place. And it was just an energy thing, right? Like from the very beginning of the game, it felt like he was demanding the ball. He was being very quick with his decisions about what to do with the ball at that moment. And that's what Miami's needed really bad this time, is that injection of the ceiling of Bam Adebayo that we've all the fans of him have been waiting for this whole time. It's like, we see the moments from him, but to put it together for a full game like this, it was huge for Miami.
Yeah, absolutely. This is exactly the Bam that they know that they have. And it looks like he finally started to believe it himself. He defaults to being kind of a role player sometimes.
Yeah.
He really stepped up in this game.
Yeah.
So now we got to move to the dud. It's an easy pick.
I'm going to go with Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
Jason Tatum had a really rough game. He scores 10 points in this game, goes 3 of 14 from the floor, 1 of 7 from deep. And his running mate, Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
Okay.
40 points.
40 points, but was horrible with the ball in his hands. Had one of the worst probably the worst 40-point game I've ever seen.
Yeah.
You never see a guy with 40 points have this, like, just negative of an impact.
Yeah.
He had terrible live ball turnovers constantly. Both of these guys had terrible live ball turnovers. They combined for 13 turnovers, the two of them. Look, this was a very Paul George type of performance from Jason Tatum here. The highs are high, the lows are low.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
And that's really what I got from them tonight, or from the game last night. And actually on Saturday. And
what day is it?
Whatever day it is during the weekend. It was just so disappointing to see Tatum go down like this.
Yeah.
Because it just felt like he didn't even have fight in him. Like, he was getting up the shots, but just from a spiritual standpoint, it just didn't look like he had it in him.
It was brutal. And all those numbers you listed to start there, that was basically his first half. I think he put up 4 shots in the second half, didn't make a single one.
That's what I'm referring to,
yes.
Was that the second half, okay, you missed some shots in the first half. Where's the fight to get back in it?
He left the game at halftime.
Yeah.
He came out and decided, okay, not my night, I'm done. Which is crazy to do in the Eastern Conference Finals. You cannot afford to be that dejected going into the next 2 quarters. Absolutely bizarre. He has to bounce back. I don't know if there's a player left in this playoffs, considering how the other series is going, that is under more pressure right now than Jason Tatum.
Yes.
He has to respond. Let's open the floods here in this series. And I got to open it. There's a few things I want to open it on. Let's start with the defense. We talked about it before the series started. These are the 2 best defensive teams in the East. This is what it's all going to come down to. We've seen kind of sloppy offense from both teams. Miami struggles in the half court. We've got guys, all off and on the milk carton for Boston. It's, Jason Tatum disappears. Jaylen Brown looks horrible in 40 points. It's going to be the best defensive team. And if the Heat keep this up, which we got to talk about, the refs are letting them play.
Yes.
The Heat is the more physical, dominant team right now. They are playing their brand of defense here, which is brutally aggressive, brutally physical, and Boston cannot keep up. If they don't get Time Lord back, which seems to be the only thing that has kept Bam Adebayo from being what he was in Game 3, Boston is in serious, serious trouble. He's had his number.
Yeah.
Robert Williams has had Adebayo's number. And without him, Bam looks like a superstar. They cannot afford to lose that. Boston's got to be kicking themselves too after game 3 because Jimmy Butler goes out. Their best player is out. A guy that we've talked about them being overly reliant on. And then speaking of defense, which you lose with Butler, we know how good Jimmy Butler is on defense. Oladipo comes in and looks like all defensive team Oladipo.
Yeah, that is the difference between these two teams right now is when Miami sustains an injury or someone goes out or someone gets in foul trouble, the next guy seems to step up and fill in that role really nicely. And like you said, Oladipo had a phenomenal defensive game. Offensively, he was okay. Up and down, but defensively he was all over the place and he was creating turnovers and he and Lowry together were awesome on the ball.
Yeah.
Absolutely killer. PJ Tucker, holy shit, man. He was all over the place for Miami.
Yeah.
Like it just felt like I don't even know, like his box score does not represent how impactful he was in that game. All over the place. He looks like he's in better shape than he's ever been in his life. PJ Tucker is making a huge impact on the series right now.
Absolutely. I'm glad that you brought up Kyle Lowry. He's getting Brian's bouquet of the episode. He was so good in his return.
Yeah.
He didn't need to score a ton of points. He didn't, which is crazy considering Butler being out. And as I mentioned earlier, they struggle in the half court. With Kyle Lowry on the floor, he got them in transition so much easier. It was so seamless. He was just throwing those passes down court. If there's an Achilles heel in this Boston defense, it is transition defense. You kind of compared them to the Clippers a few times. Same thing. The Clippers, great defense, struggle in transition. Boston, I'm seeing it now. There's so much like it. He was getting those passes and then just the most Kyle Lowry moment ever, gets that inbound steal towards the end of the fourth quarter, seals the game with that play. He was so good in his return here. He looked better than he did in the games that he played in the second round. If this is what they're getting back, you talked about turnovers for Boston. These are live ball turnovers. They had 23 turnovers, 19 steals for Miami, which was unreal, which I think converted to about 30 points off of those turnovers for Miami. Boston has to clean up a lot to stay in this series.
And it's funny because they really got to be kicking themselves, right? Because they lose this first quarter bad, right? In this game, they go down 39-18 in the first quarter. They win the second quarter, so they are down only 15 at halftime. Somehow, without Jimmy Butler, Miami manages to tie the third quarter, and then they lose. Miami loses the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Boston has won almost every quarter in this series.
They've only lost 2 of 12 quarters across 3 games.
And they're down 2-1 in the series.
Unreal.
They could be up 3-0 in the series absolutely.
Easily, yeah.
So they got to be kicking themselves big time because their margin for error is a lot bigger than Miami, seemingly.
Yeah.
And they just can't take advantage when Miami hands them a moment.
Yeah, I don't know how to read it either because we don't know who's playing in game 4. All we know is Tyler Hero is officially out.
Yep.
Jimmy Butler's questionable. PJ Tucker is questionable. Time Lord is questionable. Marcus Smart is questionable. Jason Tatum is questionable. I mean, at this point, Bam Adebayo might be questionable. Like, who knows if we get that performance again? Really, I don't know how to read this series anymore, but it feels like if Boston can't clean it up, they will be done for. But let's move on. Let's get into the next series. Golden State versus Dallas. Again, 2 games since the last time we recorded. Friday night, Golden State goes down big at home. Dallas has a 26-point lead. Looks like Dallas put it together. They figured it out and then absolutely took a big stinky shit in the bed in that second half. Golden State goes on to win 126-117. Okay, we're going back to Dallas. Game 3. They got home court. Very similar story. Dallas looked really good in that first half. They had a lead. They were looking good. Halfway through the second quarter, they completely fall apart. Golden State takes over. A little bit closer here, but they win 109-100. The Warriors have a 3-0 lead in this series.
Wow, 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 wow.
100%. Where is the stud here?
Okay, stud. We got to start with the former number 1 pick, the all-star, the Canadian legend, Andrew Wiggins. Are you fucking kidding me? What a game from Andrew Wiggins here. What a series from Andrew Wiggins, honestly. This is the best basketball Andrew Wiggins has played in his entire basketball life that I know of, at least since high school.
Yeah.
Specifically, though, we got to talk about Sunday. He scores 27 points, has 11 rebounds, goes 4 of 5 from the free throw line, which doesn't sound like a big deal, but he's been under 60% from the free throw line. It's been abysmal for him in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And it's actually hurt the Warriors multiple times in the playoffs, but good for him in this game. And then, as we've been talking about with him, the on-ball defense on Luka was phenomenal. The on-ball defense versus anybody, really, when he was in the game. He leads the Warriors in minutes in this game. And then his quick trigger and decisions on offense, which is something that he has really struggled with in his career.
Yeah.
And it just looks like it's all gone. When he's open, he's taking the shot, he's cutting, he's always finding the easy basket. He's just doing so much well right now. It's hard to ignore. He's the second best player on the Warriors right now. It's incredible to say, but it's just true.
Yeah. I mean, the Wolves have to be kicking themselves as they got rid of his contract. They're like, it's too much for what he does. Turns out all you need to do is get Andrew Wiggins into the playoffs. And we talked about All-Star Wiggins being here. Playoff Wiggins is here. This is apparently a thing. We've got 3 games of it now. He's been unreal. Yeah, he's incredible.
You can't stop Luka. Look, Luka scored. He scored 40 points in both of these games.
Yeah.
But Wiggins is doing a good job of making it difficult on him. And you can just see from body language that Luka doesn't like when Wiggins is on him. Like, it's not fun for him. You know, he's making it hard. And that's all you can really ask for. And like we've seen multiple games here, including in this series, Luka scoring 40 doesn't mean the Mavs are going to win. And in fact, usually it means the Mavs are going to lose because it means the other guys aren't doing enough.
Yeah.
And so they've done a really good job, and credit to Wiggins, credit to the Warriors for like changing this guy's career completely.
Absolutely,
because these are all things we would never have said about him before. Like, the problems with him were like shot selection, poor effort on defense, poor decision making, and he's doing all those things great now. He's the best defender on the team. He's shooting with a quick trigger, making quick decisions. He's playing super high IQ basketball, read and react. So much credit to the Warriors and Steve Kerr and the whole team for what he's doing right now.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's get to the dud here. We're going back to back. 2-time dud winner, Mavs 3-point shooting. This is their bread and butter. They were the best 3-point shooting team in the regular season. They killed Phoenix with it in round 2. They have struggled games 1 through 3 here with it. You look at Sunday, they went 13 of 45 from deep. Bullock, one of their knockdown, sharpshooters from the 3-point line, 0 of 7 from 3, 0 of 10 from the floor for 0 points. Okay, let's look at Maxi Kleber. Makes him one of the best 5-out lineups in the NBA. 0 of 5, 0 points. All right, no worries. We got Bertans. He's another 3-point dead shooter, 0 of 2. Dorian Finney-Smith was the only guy outside of basically Brunson and Luka that could even hit a 3, and he goes 2 of 5, which is not bad. That's 40%. That's what you want from him. 2 of 5 is not enough to get you anything here in this game. And the wild thing to me is they're generating incredible looks from the perimeter.
Wide
Everything
open.
is wide open. We're looking at 3 games in a row now of them getting wide open shot after wide open shot and not hitting a single one. They couldn't do it. And then their answer to not hitting wide open shots wasn't, okay, don't worry, keep shooting it. We're going to keep generating this incredible diet of shots from the guys on the perimeter. No, what they did was they just said, hey, let's just put up bullshit instead. Let's dribble into 3 defenders, off balance, one hand chucks at the backboard. It made 0 sense. They completely fell apart. There's no look. I already think that they're dead. I already think nobody's ever come back from 3-0 ever in 75 years of NBA history. Nobody's ever done it. They're done. I don't even know if they have a chance at gentleman's sweep here, getting 1 game off if nobody can hit shots like this.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And they tried Dwight Powell again in this game. Went to him for 7 minutes, it was a disaster.
Brutal.
Like, literally, I think they lost 8 or 9, maybe 10 points in his 7 minutes. Like, it was just absolutely brutal. He's not the answer. And then you're right. As the game went on, their quality of shot just degraded more and more and more. And it was just step back threes and just nonsense.
Bizarre.
Absolute nonsense. It's really rough for them right now. This whole cast of characters on the Mavs just looks really, really bad. And that's why I'm going to open the flood on them a little bit here. The Mavs got to shake it up again.
Wow.
I know that they just did.
Yeah,
I know
big time.
they just traded Porzingis. It was a big thing. But look, they did a good job with that trade.
Yeah.
Of course, yes, Bertans is overpaid. But they got Dinwiddie in the building, who's been really good for them. And at times, Bertans has, been up and down. He's given them more than Porzingis really did anyways.
Yeah.
So they did a really good job with that. They're going to have to get creative again, figure out a way to get better. They have a couple really important questions that they need answering to with this roster. Number one, Jalen Brunson. He's an unrestricted free agent this summer. He's going to get paid. Is it going to be Dallas? As well, they're missing Tim Hardaway Jr. right now. He's going to come back for them. Is he a part of their future? Or, door B, Zach LaVine?
Wow. Okay. That's interesting. I think I agree with you. They need to shake it up. And if this series has somehow lulled the Dallas front office into looking at what the Warriors have done, maybe, they look at LaVine and go, hey, let's get another former Wolf and see if he can turn it on in the playoffs.
And LaVine in the Olympics, by the way, if you remember, was playing great defense and doing a ton. You're right. Maybe they could get that out of,
I don't think that's the answer. Priority number one, you have to bring Brunson back. Brunson, yes, he's had a couple stinkers in the playoffs. He has been so good for them.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're going to be able to replace him if he leaves for the production that he's getting them. No, you have to bring him back. Tim Hardaway Jr., this is who they're missing right now.
Yes.
They need a guy that is that good, that is the guy who has been this guy his entire career, right? We've talked about Dorian Finney-Smith kind of turning into this dude. Nobody else has been as consistent as across their careers hitting the shots that they're getting right now than Tim Hardaway Jr.
Right.
That is what they need.
Another roll of the dice of three-point shooter.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think LaVine is the answer. I think what they need to do is figure out how to upgrade at the center position. Look, you talked about it. Dwight Powell, unplayable.
Yeah, he's unplayable.
We've talked about this team being one of the best small ball teams in the NBA. Their 5-out lineup is incredible. All the teams that we've seen in the last few years that have had these incredible small ball lineups, they've used them sparingly at times at the end of games. It's the death punch. The problem is this is their go-to lineup and it becomes predictable, it becomes schemable. And as we're seeing in the series, they can't rebound with this lineup.
Oh my God.
And this is where Golden State is killing. They're getting all these second chances. They're getting all of these boards. They're just killing them in that section. And credit to the Warriors and the development that they've had in Kevon Looney. He's been great, but Kevon Looney's not a superstar 5. He's really good at being a role player. Dwight Powell should be able to keep up with them at this point in his career, but he can't. He's just not good enough, and this is where they need to upgrade. This is going to be get Brunson back and then figure out how are you going to upgrade at the 5. You've got a good small ball lineup, but you have to be able to play big as well, and they just can't right now.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And you look around the Western Conference, it's not going to get easier with bigs, right? You got to go against Jokic, and then like the Warriors, you got to go against DeAndre Ayton. The Warriors, they got a guy named James Wiseman sitting on their bench right now, who was the number 1 pick in the draft just a few months ago.
Yeah.
If he's any version of what people think he can be, could you imagine the offensive boards he'd be getting?
Yeah.
Against this team right now? So yeah, you need a center to get you by, to get you through, and to create rebounds at times, because the offensive glass has been a disaster for Dallas.
Yeah, I could not agree more. That's going to be a big priority for them in the offseason. But wait, do you hear that?
It's beautiful. I do hear it.
What is that?
It's bells. You know what? I think those are bells. It sounds like church bells. Oh, what the fuck, Brian? You are
right, my son.
Wow.
They are bells because we are at the altar of the basketball gods.
Wow.
Welcome, one and all, to the altar of the gods.
Friar Brian, how are you?
Friar Brian, it is time to ask the gods for something. I will start us out, as I am clearly in wardrobe for it here. My ask for the gods here in these conference finals is to please stop the blowouts.
Yeah.
I want some close games here. We have seen blowout after blowout after blowout after blowout over and over again in these two series. Let's get a little competitive. I think hope might be lost in the Western Conference, so let's just zone in on the Eastern Conference here. Give me some close games. Give me at least one overtime. I want an overtime. We have not seen an overtime game
that's true.
yet. Give me an overtime game.
A buzzer beater.
We need, just these moments. We like the biggest moment is that Andrew Wiggins dunk. Outside of that, we haven't had any of these incredible. We've had great performances, individual performances. Give me some nail biters. I want to be on the edge of my seat towards the end of these games. And then that might extend the series a little bit. Give me a longer series. Give me to 6 or 7. That's all I'm asking for. I don't think it's much. Basketball gods, it'll generate more money for you too. Come on, let's make it happen.
True.
What about you? What is your ask at the altar this week?
My ask also has to do with a little bit of generating revenue for the NBA here.
Okay.
I'll quickly bring this up. I love baseball. I love to talk baseball. In baseball this weekend, there was a debut of the number 1 prospect in baseball. His name's Adley Rutschman. He was the number 1 pick in the draft a couple years ago. And the Baltimore Orioles have been tanking season after season to try and do the old trust the process.
Yeah.
Their fans have had nothing to root for. They're losing 100 games a season. Adley Rutschman comes up. It's something to celebrate. The fans go crazy. They lose the game, but he still gets a standing ovation. It was just fun for the fans here.
Yeah.
And so what I'm asking the basketball gods for is to go to Adam Silver and put this thought in his head. We need to expand the G League, and we need to make the G League a bigger thing. And here's why it came to mind again, not just because of Adley Rutschman coming up, but because we're reading more and more about the possibility of this mid-season tournament coming up. The mid-season tournament to me sounds boring. If we're just talking about the Hornets versus the Pacers in the mid-season tournament, I don't care.
Yeah.
I see these teams play all the time anyways. Like, what does it matter? There's no incentive for me to watch it. But if you're telling me that the Santa Cruz Warriors are playing the Charlotte Hornets, hold on now. Now I might want to watch this because there's a chance for crazy upsets. Let's get these G League guys more exposure. Plus, you look at like the Miami Heat, for instance, who are in the Eastern Conference Finals right now. They have guys like Gabe Vincent on their team and Max Strus, who went undrafted. The basketball world is full of hundreds of guys who are just looking for an opportunity. Many of them go overseas to try and get paid and all of that. And credit to them, I have no issue with it. But maybe if you expanded the G League, expanded the rosters of the G League, added more teams, made it more competitive, and included them in the midseason tournament, now we could have stuff like prospect rankings. The Warriors' number 1 prospect, who, it could be a guy who isn't, a 19-year-old. It doesn't have to be your Cade Cunningham. We don't need, suppressing the players for service time. We don't want any of that.
Yeah.
But what we want to see is guys who weren't drafted or getting a second chance, get another chance, and perform at a high level here and get them in front of those people. And, I just think it would be an exciting product.
Yeah, I love it. That's a great idea. I love putting them in the in-season tournament because then the pressure is on. You're playing the same teams over and over if you're just in the NBA. But now there's we cannot lose to this G League team.
Yeah.
That is going to be horrifically embarrassing for us. And yeah, you brought up these guys in Miami. Look at the Warriors. Jordan Poole played in the G League this year.
Right.
Jose Alvarado, who we saw really show the world who he is in the playoffs with his defense. Undrafted G League guy. There are tons of these guys. Yeah, I love it. It brings more eyes to the G League, puts them on a bigger stage. It opens up more for your secondary market. This would be a win-win for the NBA. I love it. We've seen more and more guys come out of the G League, especially over the last couple of years with, health and safety protocols kind of requiring guys to come up and making the most of their opportunity. Now you put them against an NBA team, all of them together, you might see some more kind of hidden gems. This will help out other teams as well. This will really, really help out to see. This gives you an opportunity to not just do it in games that might matter in the regular season, but it might give a front office an opportunity to see, all right, let me see which of these guys can compete against NBA basketball. I love it. That's such a good idea. Incredible. Okay, let's move on. Let's get into this week's Duo Jam.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's start by recapping last week's game. So we had the Warriors-Dallas series that we were picking from. I went with the Splash Brothers out of Golden State, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. You had the double guard duo out of Dallas, Luka Doncic and Jalen Brunson. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson up 3-0 now through these games. Steph Curry put up 141 fantasy points. Came through big for me. Klay Thompson, who had that incredible game 6 in round 2. The reason why I grabbed him, I said, Klay is back. He put up 89.2 points. Not bad. Combined for 230.2 points.
Yep.
Now, Luka, we obviously know Luka is magic. He does what he does with 164.1 fantasy points.
Yeah.
Still getting his. And then Jalen Brunson, who we talked about, struggled off and on. Really with the struggling guys outside of Luka, probably the best option, clearly, because he put up 101.2 points for 265.3 combined points, giving you the win. You're back.
I'm back.
You broke the streak that I was on. I looked at this once the games were over and I was like, how did I not pick Andrew Wiggins? How did I not see him being a superstar in this round? How did I not guess that? So that killed me. He has been their best player fantasy-wise through these games. So the Klay Thompson pick
he scored
killed me.
more fantasy points than Steph?
100%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or I think he might have come in second. I'm sorry. I think he might have come in second.
Okay, that makes sense.
But I think I would have won this game if I had picked him.
Yeah.
So we're going to move on this week. We're picking from Heat Celtics. Now we're kind of picking the same teams over and over. So to switch it up, make it interesting here, we're going with one starter and one bench player. Last time we did this, I stayed away from the Celtics. I'm going to pick them this time, leaving you with the Heat. Now my starter is in hot water right now. A little bit of an issue, but I believe in a comeback. I believe that it's not going to be the same struggle in these next couple games. Give me Jason Tatum as my starter for my duo jam this week. Bench player wise, again, a guy kind of in trouble who's been off and on, fouled out in the last game. So I'm really rolling the dice here, but I believe that he can do better. Give me Grant Williams off the bench. Jason Tatum and Grant Williams get me back to the promised land of picking up another win in Duo Jam. Who do you have starter bench from the Heat?
So interesting choice for you there. I think Grant Williams makes a lot of sense because as we've seen in these playoffs, it almost just comes down to him. If he has a good game, they win. If he doesn't, they lose. Yeah. So good choice. If the Celtics are going to get back in the series, it's going to be Grant Williams hitting shots. Okay. For me, it was a pretty easy choice for my starter here with Jimmy Butler's, questionable
probable,
availability.
Actually, I think he's probable right now.
Probable. He says he's going to play, but maybe he's only going to play a quarter. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
So
apparently that's all they need to win a game. So
exactly. Yeah, that's funny. That's true. But for fantasy purposes, I'm going to go with the big guy. He's back. Chef Emerald Lagasse's favorite, Bam Adebayo. He's been great, obviously, in the last game, and I think he's going to keep it up.
Okay.
And then for my bench guy, with Tyler Hero going down and not being available in this next game, I'm going to go with the other unbelievably confident guard, Gabe Vincent.
Love it.
Give me Gabe Vincent. He's been great.
Okay.
He's going to come through, man. Like that guy, he's not afraid. That's for sure. I at least know that. He should get a couple extra fantasy points for being unafraid.
Yeah, confidence points.
Confidence points.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, couple gambles going on here. So we'll see how this ends up. We'll check back next week to see how we do. Hopefully I get another win.
Yep.
That is going to be the episode today. Thank you all so much for joining us. Remember to hit subscribe wherever you're catching the show. Clayton, what are we leaving everybody with today?
I'm leaving everyone with a summer jam today.
Okay.
So for anyone here who's in the LA area, my band Entry is playing a show on Saturday at a place called Non Plus Ultra. You can DM me if you need the address. And it's a really good show. Fum from Denver's playing. Duka, who's from here in Orange County, is playing. And No Man from DC is playing Great band. Well. Yeah. And then opening the show is my friend Gina. And she has a project that she does under the name Linda Susan. And this is for fans of, I would say, like the early Best Coast material. Fun summer indie punk leaning stuff that's just awesome. And this was a single that she put out on Bandcamp. It's called I Do What I Want. You can find it. We'll have all the information for it below there. And again, if you're in the LA area on Saturday, come hang out. It's going to be a really fun time.
Rad. I love it. Thank you all again so much. Remember to be kind to yourselves, be kind to each other, and we will see you in a few days. So long.
Thanks.
That's not my problem.